What's up, guys? Welcome to our winners and losers of the 2022 uh, NHL Free Agency. Obviously, there's a lot to break down. There's a lot to discuss here. There was trades that went down involving some big players that we thought were not on the block, but fortunately for us, we got to see some blockbuster deals and also some key signings. In terms of losers, there's not many. There's more winners, but we're gonna break it down in today's episode. So let's start with Chris, your first winner of the free agency.
You already know who it is. Stevie Y. Okay, the Detroit Red Wings. Not big time signings, but something that's gonna push this team to go. I think to the playoffs this year, and they're gonna be competitive. Ben Sherratt was a really good signing. The money's a bit too expensive, but Stevie Y is doing it for a reason. I guess he wanted a really good shutdown defenseman. Huso to back up and what's I can't pronounce his name. Sorry,
Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic. Yeah, so I mean, maybe one of them gets traded, or Delkovich gets traded. I don't know. Maybe it's a 1-2, 1-1 A, 1B kind of thing going on.
Most likely, that's just gonna happen.
Yeah,
Sebastian Koza's not ready yet.
and then they got Perron too. So it's great signing. Perron's older. But he's still putting up points. So that's a great signing. I mean, who knows what else he has in the plans? I hear Tyler Bertuzzi most likely will get traded, but I think they need him to be competitive. So I think he stays. But the team as a whole has just gotten a lot better, and
And don't
especially that
forget, they
Moritz
brought
Sider and all their other rookies that they got are just going to be even better this year than they were last year. So
yeah, they drafted Casper at the draft in 2022. They also brought back a hometown boy, Andrew Kopp, back to
oh,
Detroit.
Andrew Kopp, I forgot about him too. Yeah,
Yeah,
great
so I
signing
mean,
as well.
the reason why the Detroit Red Wings are winners, in my opinion, is because they have a good mesh of youth and veteran presence as well. You look at their decor. You have Hronek, Sider, and Sherratt now as your big three defensemen. In terms of your offense, you have Lucas Raymond, Bertuzzi, Kopp, Perron. It's
Larkin.
Larkin as well. So they're getting really, competitive in the Atlantic, and the Atlantic it has really improved. And my winner would be the Ottawa Senators. So you add Claude Giroux, you get rid of Matt Murray's contract, you trade for Cam Talbot, you trade Connor Brown for a second round pick. It's looking good in Ottawa. They're going to be competitive. Expect them, to compete for a wild card spot, maybe even the third spot in the Atlantic. Anything is possible. But they look like a very serious team this year. And there's potentially a move of Mackenzie Weegar heading to Ottawa. We'll see what happens there. But Ottawa are my winners.
I'm gonna agree with Christopher on this one, but I'm gonna add something else. I think Carolina wins free agency, in my opinion. You look at the team, you look at the moves that they made. They essentially acquired Max Pacioretty for a bag of chips and some salt, and then they also acquired Dylan Coughlin as well, young 24-year-old defenseman. They also went to go get Brent Burns, who they got on retained salary as well.
Wait, sorry to cut you off. Chips and salt, so like
Yes.
more salt to the
Yeah,
chips.
just more salt in
Okay.
the chips. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Because you have to add a little bit. It's a very future consideration. They added the salt as like the extra thing. So it's fine.
But I don't mean to cut you off while you're in your process. Future considerations, though. Is there anything that ever comes out of that?
It's basically
Like
just nothing.
ever?
It's nothing.
just
It's a
basically
cap
nothing.
down. It's
Why
literally
not
a
just
cap
say
down.
we traded him for nothing, though?
It's
Like, is it to be
basically
more polite?
it's basically like saying, hey, let's go for a beer. That's basically what future considerations is. Like, oh,
Okay.
I'll pay a beer for you next time we go for a beer or some shit. That's basically what it is. Like it's basically nothing, bro. It's useless. But the point is that for Carolina, they got Brent Burns on retained salary. They went to go sign Andre Kasha as well.
Very
They've
underrated
made some
signing.
really good moves. And in my opinion, I know that they still have to sign Marty Necas, but if they can get him signed, I think that they've absolutely won this offseason. Don Waddell's done a really good job at building this team. They got rid of Tony DeAngelo. They replaced him with Brent Burns, who's still really good at his age, on retained salary as well. And I think that it's going to allow Carolina to kind of show, that they are serious about winning and that it's an opportunity for them to keep going. And look, they traded Tony DeAngelo's rights for a second, a third, and a fourth. Like that's still pretty good considering, Tony DeAngelo probably wasn't coming back or the Carolina Hurricanes weren't interested in bringing him back. They got a decent return for him there too. So I think they've done well. I think Pacioretty is going to be a good addition. I think he's going to definitely help them in the scoring department. And
And
Brent
he
Burns,
replaces Nino Ryder, and he's an
exactly,
improvement in my opinion. So
exactly.
they're winners as well. And let's get to the losers. My loser, the Philadelphia Flyers, for failing to sign Johnny Gaudreau, who heads to Columbus. Look, instead of paying, D'Angelo and having Riston Island on that team, and going to get like Delorier and Braun, they should have gone all out and do anything possible to sign Johnny Gaudreau, but they didn't have cap space because the money went towards other players, in my opinion, that won't have any contribution to helping them get to the playoffs this year. We already know the Metropolitan is already stacked. Um, despite getting John Tortorella as a coach, Philly are my losers in my opinion.
I think they were trying to move JVR, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they were, but
Nothing happened.
yeah, it wasn't.
So
It was a no go, unfortunately. And they're still trying to move him, but I mean, at this point, there's no point unless they want to go sign Nazem Kadri, who they've been linked to, and he has yet to sign. But apparently, Calgary's going all out for Nazem Kadri since losing Johnny Gaudreau. So we'll see what happens there.
for my losers, I mean, listen, I got three. I got three. Vegas, 100%. Like, I don't know what the hell they're doing with that. That's just poor cap management. Like, whoever's jamming that team is gonna lose their job if they don't
Kelly
make it this year to the
McCrimmon.
Kelly
playoffs.
McCrimmon,
Yeah, so I mean, he expect him to be gone if they don't make the playoffs again this year.
100%. I totally agree with that.
Chicago, I don't know what kind of signings they're doing. I
They
mean,
needed a team on the ice, bro. So they just
yeah, but
Yeah.
got a bunch of guys.
you're getting rid of Kirby Doc, a young center, and you go get Max Domi for 1 year at 20. Max Domi
No.
should have been signing for a team that's on the cusp of competing or that need, a third, second line guy. What's he going to play? First
Well,
line center
it's
beside a second line center, the Taves? Like,
it makes sense why he went to go sign Chicago because it's a rebuilding team, so he's going to get the minutes, and he also gets $3 million, so he gets paid, and he's going to be able to play a top six role on a bottom feeder team. Obviously, they went to go get Anastasio as well.
yeah,
They
but
got rid of Kevin Lankinen, who's a young goalie as well. Chicago's plan is literally to liquidate everybody, even if you're young and you have talent. They want to liquidate, and they want to start fresh and try to go for Connor Bedard. Or Mishkov.
Well,
well, first of all, the flaw there is that Mitchkov, if they do get him, he's still not going to be there for the next 2-3 years. So, because he's playing in Russia, if I'm not mistaken, with the KHL.
Yeah, he signed a deal with the
Then-
KHL team. Yeah.
Then you have Athanasio and Max Domi, Kane, Taves. All these guys are getting traded at the deadline. Max Domi was a sign, and we're gonna hope to God he plays well, and we trade him high in the offseason and in the trade deadline. Sorry, I'm so confused. Yeah, so same thing for Athanasio. Actually, maybe he's probably the only one that probably stays, just because I don't, he's fast. I like fast players. I think he'd be good as a bottom guy.
He
But
always
yeah,
had high potential, but
it's a big
mess.
mess. I don't see that. If you're going through a rebuild, I would take the youngest player on my team and build around him, which should have been the Brinkat. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Maybe he made it clear that he doesn't want to resign and go into rebuild mode. Until he was 27, they would have been able to start competing again if all goes well. But the Kirby Doc one, I really don't understand. I'm happy as a Habs fan. It's complete fleece, in my opinion. But
I think
Who's your loser, Luca?
my loser. I mean, look, I'm gonna say two teams, and one of them, I know I might start drama in the comments, but I think the Leafs lose this free agency, and I think the
100%.
Islanders lose.
I agree.
And I'm
That
gonna
was my
talk
third
about
team.
I'm gonna talk about the Leafs first, and then I'll mention the Islanders. The Leafs, look, I don't think they made bad moves. But my thing is, you look at where they were last year, and you look at where they were this year, and they haven't upgraded in pretty much any area, right? They lost Mikheyev, they lost Kasha, they lost Jack Campbell. They don't have cap space to sign Rasmus Sandin, and they haven't really addressed it. I mean, if you look at what they've signed, they've brought in Ilya Samsonov. Okay, yeah, sure, he's a decent goalie, might be able to bounce back, but there's uncertainty there. They brought in Matt Murray, who we all know the situation with Matt Murray. They bring in Jordy Ben and Victor Mete. These are two guys that, like, no offense to either of them, but they haven't really played well enough in the NHL level to be full-time NHLers, right? And so I think that the Leafs made a lot of depth signings and not necessarily signings that are going to
And
help
there's
their team
also
in the
another
future.
signing you forgot.
I know,
They
and then there's
signed,
Kalle Yarncroke, who they just signed yesterday for $2.1 million. He should be the Andre Kasha replacement, so I guess that one's probably not
that's
that
the
bad.
only good signing in my opinion.
But I think in terms of
Oh,
Toronto,
Samsonov.
I look at their
If he
team and
pans
I'm
out.
like, okay, I'm looking at their team and I'm like, you know what? You haven't upgraded much. I don't think it's going to be. I still think they're a playoff team. I still think they make the playoffs. I don't think there's an issue there, but it's more of a question of, is this the team that's going to get the Leafs over the hump? I don't think so. And so that's why I'm kind of disappointed. And for the Islanders, they didn't sign anybody. The Islanders just did not sign anybody. They were in on Goudreau, apparently. They should be in on Kadri. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. But the Islanders haven't really done anything. And so I think it's a little bit frustrating from an Islanders fans perspective, if there are, any that are watching, to definitely for them, because Lou hasn't done anything and he's been awfully quiet. But I know it's still early and there's still a lot of time left.
But he was quiet last offseason too. His biggest move so far is getting Alexander Romanov, but he has yet to be signed, and he has offers from the KHL as well. There's one team offering a 2-year deal, so maybe he heads back to the KHL. And we already know what's going on with the whole Russia situation down there with the military. So that's a dossier to keep an eye on as well.
Here's what I don't understand about the Leafs. Their biggest problem. Okay, besides goaltending, what's their biggest problem?
Defense.
Okay, thank you. So, why is it that you have so much cap in the front and nothing in the back besides, what is it, Morgan Riley and Jake Muzzin, arguably, right?
And Muzzin, they're trying to trade Muzzin.
And they're trying to trade him. So, logically, what do you do if all the cap is in the front and you need to bring cap in the back? What do? You got to trade one of the top 4 guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've been saying this for a long time.
It's got to happen to one of them. And I think Mitch Marner is going to be the odd man out here, because, I mean, I like William Nylander a lot. I think he's really talented, but he's way cheaper than Mitch Marner. So, Mitch, and you're gonna get a lot of
and
shit.
John Tavares, I think, in my opinion,
he's
is unmovable.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was probably the worst signing they've done. Probably not the worst signing, but the money is the worst part. I think if it would have been a cap friendlier deal, it would have been good.
Short term, it helped them, but long term, it's killing them.
And this is what I don't understand of hockey nowadays, and especially when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't want to insult their players or anything, but I find hockey used to be a sport it's always been a team sport, but when guys sign contracts, they kind of look at their team around them and they're like, well, if I'm going to be signing a $14-15 million cap hit, who's going to be playing around me so that I could win championships? Like, at the end of the day, is it that you want to win and go to the Hall of Fame, or do you want to get money and just enjoy your money? And that's the problem with the guys, nowadays. I mean, it's all good to get the bag, but at the end of the day, you want to win.
And one thing I want to mention about the Leafs too, they have to still sign Pierre Engvall and Rasmus Sandin. And I was watching Steve Dangle the other day, and he was talking about how
he's very frustrated by it.
And I think he was talking about how they might they're like $5 million short of signing both those guys because they don't have any cap space. So I do think the Leafs still have to make another move, and I think if they do, chances are a guy like Alex Kerfoot probably is the odd man out in that situation. But I gotta say, for a lot of praise that Kyle Dubas gets from a lot of Leaf fans, I'll be completely honest. If you're optimistic going into this season that this season is going to be better than last year, I don't really think you should be. I think you should be very frustrated, to be honest. And I would be worried if I'm a Leaf fan, because I don't think Kyle Dubas has addressed his team's needs properly, and I think that it's going to show this season. And I think that if the Leafs don't go far in the playoffs, or if they're out again in the first round, or they miss the playoffs completely, his job's done. I think he's gone.
I want to make a bold prediction.
Yeah, you make your bold prediction. I'm going to see Montevideo mention it for a win.
Maybe Leafs fan will agree with me on this one. Who knows? I don't see it getting hate. This reminds me a lot of Marc Bergevin last year. Coming off of a cup. It's worse for Dubas. He's coming off from another.
Well, I mean, a cup final. They didn't get
a cup finals. Yeah.
We wish it was a cup.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Still crying about it today. Anyway, so i- and there was like players leaving and coming, and he was just patching up holes. And I feel like
That's what Toronto's
Dubas.
doing.
I think Dubas knows he's out. He should have been out, like Mark Bergevin should have been out a long time ago. Should have been the minute they lost that Game 7 game. Should have been fired. So I feel like he's just patching up holes now because someone's gonna replace him. He's like, let me just patch them up. Whoever comes here will do the rest. I think that's what's gonna be happening. I think
We'll
he's
see
gonna
about
get
that.
fired during the year. I think he's not even gonna. If everything goes
Quite
to hell,
possible.
100% he's out
But
during the
and
year.
I think Shanahan is long overdue to be replaced as president. But anyways, my honorable mention: the Washington Capitals as winner. Look, they get
Yeah.
Borgstrom as center. They get they re-sign Marcus Johansson a center. Yes, Backstrom is out, but they get Dylan Strome a center. So they have three centers. Yes, they're not Nicholas Backstrom, but you address your depth, right? So in my eyes, that's a winner. Not only that, there's also a chance that Backstrom might be back in the season, or better yet, in the playoffs. I do see the Washington Capitals making the playoffs. They change up their goalie tandem. They get a legitimate starter and Stanley Cup winner in Darcy Kemper. So no more 1A, 1B situation with Samsonov and Vanacek. And they get Charlie Lindgren, a goalie that I think it's long overdue that he gets a chance as a backup goaltender in the NHL. And backing up Darcy Kemper is a good fit. And they trade for Connor Brown, a guy that's going to replace Tom Wilson while he's out with injury. He's going to be back in December, but only trading a second round pick for Connor Brown. The Washington Capitals were a team that I didn't see as very active, and they were very active. So they're my honorable mention for winners.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agree. I'm just
I
gonna
would
put up
agree. I would agree on that.
Michael's comment here. I feel like the Red Wings just became a threat in the league. Bet on it. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that at the beginning of the video. When it comes to the Fleece Master, everything he does is for a reason, and I think Detroit's are going to be a pretty solid
I
team for the next couple of years.
I will say one thing about Detroit. I think that Sherrod contract is probably the only
Yeah,
one
that's
that I would
Yeah,
say was
but
a bit
you
meh.
need veteran
But
presence on
besides
the
that,
D line because right now
yeah, but
it's
I think
very young.
the money was a bit too much. Like I don't think Sherrod's worth 4.75 million.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
understand.
That's my personal opinion.
I mean, at that,
And
I mean, I think he's worth 4. So like,
That's
it's
and
it,
just seven
four.
hundred
But
grand
like
extra.
he's
obviously
closer to 5 than he is to 4,
and in
right?
terms of the
So
two worst contracts, Vincent Trocheck is not a bad signing, but the term is bad. 7 years for Vincent Trocheck. Yes, he's getting paid around 5.5 million, but 7 years is a little bit too much. And in terms of Eric Goodbranson, 4 years, 4.5. That's absolutely ridiculous. If I'm not mistaken, Calgary brought him in as a PTO last season, and now he signs 4 years, 4.5 million. Yes, they had the best signing in Johnny Gaudreau, but they also had the worst signing. But
And
that's all I have to say in terms of my winners, losers, and the signings, and obviously the trades. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
I was gonna add to a bad contract. I think Chris Letang is a horrible contract. Horrible, horrible
I
contract.
mean, Malkin too, in terms of
Malkin
term,
too.
because
Term,
they're gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
past 40 years old.
yeah.
But I think that's pretty much it, guys. So don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also, make sure to write your winners and losers in the comment section below, and obviously the best and worst signings of the 2022 NHL Free Agency. We have yet to see where Klingberg is going to sign, where Nazem Kadri is going to sign, and obviously teams like the Montreal Canadiens that have to make trades in order to clear cap space. And there's a lot of interesting dossiers concerning RFAs, and one of them is Pierre-Luc Dubois and Matthew Tkachuk, if they're going to re-sign or
Yeah.
get offer sheeted or get traded. So make sure to write your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next episode. And thank you so much, guys.